Hello. Hey, Dan, a funny thing happened to me on the way to Mexico. This actually happened when I was in high school, and I wrote about it in this book, Create. I got really antsy at the end of my senior year of high school, and I was going to drop out and really travel the world and be like Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run, or Jack Kerouac on the road. My parents were not thrilled with this, naturally. So I had to go back to school, but I cooked up this idea. Somehow I found out that I had almost enough credits to graduate after my first semester. And I arranged this thing where I could go to Mexico for my last semester of high school and basically work in a Peace Corps project, similar to a Peace Corps project. So I grabbed my uncle's Rolleiflex that he gave me. It was just a fantastic camera. If you're not familiar with this, it's called a twin lens reflex because you focus with this lens and you shoot with this one. There's a lot of advantages to shooting this way. One of them is that you look down at your subject like this. You're not just kind of holding the camera right in front of your face. It can allow them to feel a lot more comfortable. You also get a big negative that's 2 1/4 square. It gives you a lot of real estate to work with. I took this camera and a whole bunch of film. This is 120 film, and I took a lot more than this, and I took hundreds and hundreds of exposures in Mexico. And what's amazing about it is I really got into communication with the people. These are prints. The reason there's plastic over them is because I don't want them to get messed up. And I was allowed into their life. And that's really an important thing as a photographer, to get into your subject's life. And the way that you do that is, first of all, you have to be able to communicate, and you have to be there and willing to share with them. Now, one of the things you'll find when you go to countries like Mexico or third world countries, most of the time people will get very frozen and stand very stiff. So you have to kind of coax them out of that and make them feel comfortable enough. And again, that's where this twin lens camera comes in really handy. You're looking down and you can really maintain communication with them. It's one of the cool things about these cameras. But I went with a single camera and a single lens, and I came back with all these photographs. And they're really interesting because I got inside their life. I got an inside look. These are framed photographs, obviously. I love to make prints like Dan, and I love to frame these prints because then it really puts them out there and you can put them on your wall and let people see them. The wrong place to leave your photographs is in your computer or your phone. Okay, this is a shot of kids in school. This was a very tiny schoolroom in a very remote part of Mexico, way up in the mountains, above Mazatlan, one day by Jeep. And where I went from there was another 2 days by foot. And here's a photograph of some kids on a path. Again, this is even more remote than where I was before. It's a very remote region of Mexico. But the point here is, you guys, to kind of chime into exactly what Dan was saying, is get a camera that's simple, that you don't have to mess around with, doesn't get in your way, and go out and shoot. Okay, either rolls of film, or if you're shooting digital. I shoot digital too, obviously. The thing is, I have a film mentality when I shoot. I'm thinking in terms of, I had to come back with all these rolls of film and then go into the dark room and process them all myself. So when I was pressing the shutter, I was pressing it with the idea of the work that I had to do afterwards. And I know Dan comes from that same school. We really recommend that you work that way. In fact, I've often thought it'd be great to get a digital card that only holds so many images, like 12. Can you imagine that? Or it holds multiples of 12. So maybe it holds 6 multiples of 12. So that's like 12 rolls of this kind of film. And that's all you've got. And you've got to get your assignment complete with that set of images. But be that as it may, I still recommend you shoot with the idea that you're going to be processing, and you're not just trying to get a number of pictures like this. You're really going for getting the shot that you want that means something. And then obviously I'm a big believer in printing your work. I've used my photographs from Mexico. Even this many years later, here it is. So you don't have to print books like this. You can go with Dan's books, Blurb, and create your own. There's all sorts of ways that you can utilize your prints and definitely hang them on the wall. So yeah, Dan, I'm with you all the way, which is why we resonate so much. I want you guys to try this. Get a single lens, get a camera, shoot with a limited number of exposures, come back, process those prints, put them into a framework of a story. If I could show you all my prints, so we put them together in the framework of a story. There's a common thread that goes through these. So in my book, Advancing Your Photography, if you've seen it, you notice there's a chapter on sharing, which is what we're really talking about here, is getting your work out to the world. And by the way, we've just completed a video course totally based on this book. So what you should do is just click on that eye there and you can get more information about it. Just like Dan said in his video, and I recommend you do this too, after you shoot some more, and shoot until your batteries are dead.